What's the most Christmassy thing you can think of? A Grimdark Christmas bauble, of course. Making Warhammer Christmas baubles, here's the 2-second version. Get a bauble kit from here, stick some stuff to it, or stick some stuff in it, and then stick it on your tree. Job done. Slightly more information. Here's how to do it. Slightly more information in the process. Here is how I did it. I love using Christmas bauble kits in my models because they are super high tensile plastic and very light. So they're strong, extremely lightweight. You can add some weight to your models and make them look like there's something really heavy on them, while actually they're as light as anything. I have various sized Christmas bauble kits just like hanging about like the entire time, and my missus very sensibly suggested that I actually make some Christmas baubles out of them instead. So I thought I'd make some Christmas baubles. So we have the Grimdark option and the not so grimdark, the more like traditional version of them as well. So in this video I'm going to go through how we built how I built these two. They're pretty fast and like quick to make, and they're quite cheap as well if you've got some spare model. Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer Grim in the Dark, or do you prefer a lovely Christmas drinking bauble scene? Let me know in the comments. Okay, so this bad boy first. I got the basic kit, put it together. I was looking for a face, so I found this sort of Triceratops, or what's the other one? Stegosaurus? No, Triceratops Saurian kit from Age of Sigmar. It was in a spare bits pile that I found. I wanted to get a nice big face to really make something like a little bit horrific. So once I stuck the face on, didn't want it to look too much like Triceratops stuck on the front of it, so I cut off the back of it and some of the spikes and repositioned them, and then used some horns from the Spyranx kit and then repositioned the horns that were from the actual model on it as well. Didn't really like the eyes, so I used one of these little beads. Now there is an element of the game Katamari Damacy in this. Katamari Damacy, probably saying that wrong, in this, in that you're basically getting a sphere and you're trying to put as many textures on it possible. If you just glue stuff to it randomly, it's probably going to look fine. There's absolutely no problem there. But what you want is to get as many overlapping pieces and bits of wire and pipe that look like them, that look from a distance as if it's actually a real technological thing. My reference points to this are obviously Akira and the first ever atomic bomb. Very festive. So here it is. I'm slowly working on my metamorphosis into Santa Claus. I save as many armor plates as possible throughout the year and like large pieces. I use a lot of costume jewelry, so you've got interesting spheres and shapes, and they add quite a lot of weight to it, so I had to make sure that I put as much weight at the front as I do at the back, otherwise it will tip forwards. You can see that his little like stubby arm things are like stuck onto plates, which make it quite heavy, but it does hang nicely. I don't use flight stands, I use nuts and bolts so that my models don't break off their flight stands all the time, so I have millions of these left over, and I think they add like a nice shape to it as well. I used some CMOS on here, had quite a large space that I wanted to add some texture to. I like how gross it is, very lightweight, so you can add it on. It doesn't make much difference to the model at all. You've got a mixture of Necron bits, Imperium bits, Dark Elder bits, anything with spikes, anything with, especially when you're making this kind of grim thing, any spikes, any cabling you can use up. I like using old bits of tech in models. Here, I've got the internal parts from a VCR remote. This is fucking dating me, isn't it? From an old hi-fi remote that we've no longer got the hi-fi. So I think the buttons worked really well, nicely. For the cabling, I used a mixture of aluminium and brass wire, which is cheap, and then actual like old cables that I had left over. I cut these so that you can get some of the wire out, and then I can reposition them around it. Try and always make sure that the cables are going underneath something, and there's another like circular object that goes over it, so that you all like half circle, so that you're constantly getting this overlap on different bits, because that looks cool as anything. Anyway, it looks pretty cool. I like it. Oh, it's got a Christmas tree on it. I then sprayed it all black, did a zenithal overcoat with Wraithbone primer. I prefer it to white because it's a little bit warmer. Then did a gold spray over that because it's festive. And a really quick and nasty and gross paint job on this. Using oil paints, made a really thick brown black goop. Did it pretty much all over the model. And then used Q-tips with a bit of Sansador on them to basically bring out the metal underneath, which is really fun. It's like a nice technique. I always forget to open the windows and end up high as a kite and felt dreadful the next day. So if you're using spirits, if you're using mediums, always have lots and lots of fresh air. Yeah, okay, I do worry about poisoning myself a lot. Very anxious about that. Anyway, this is the model. It looks cool. I really like having this underlapping bits as well, so that when you've got it from a distance, you can see that it's got these like spiky tendrils underneath, which I think is cool. It's really nice. Obviously, oil paint takes a really long time to dry, so this is going to take another couple of weeks, well, a week or so to dry. I'm not putting it on the tree all the time because I don't want the tree to get oil paint all over it. Right, we've then got this thing. I thought this was going to be really straightforward and super easy and an absolute blast in a breeze, and I'm sure it would be if you made it more than once, but I underestimated how difficult it would be to get the globe sealed at the same time as getting the models inside, getting the snow stuff that I never used before, and like not really gluing anything to anything so that it's a little bit wobbly inside. Yeah, fun to make. Practice a little bit before you make a video about it, because otherwise it might not look the best it possibly could. 2 years ago I bought the Bugman Special White Dwarf model when me and my girlfriend went into Games Workshop on Tottenham Court Road just before Christmas, and I promised her that I'd make a bauble out of it, and it just sat on my pile of shame for 2 years. So I basically used him and then Gloriel Summerbloom, which is an absolutely beautiful model, and I've always wanted to make her, and I just thought this is probably like it's Christmassy. You've got greens and reds and leaves and all that sort of stuff, so it's perfect kind of time for it. I did some very small kit bashes, so I wanted him to look a bit more like Santa and possibly myself, so I gave him some hair rather than the bald head, and I wanted her to, rather than having an American football, to have a beer stein. So I cut off one of the beer steins from underneath the Bugman's barrel, and then cut out her hand, modelled some green stuff hair, and then also modelled some froth coming out of her pint as well, stein. For the trees in the backdrop, I just used a couple of clippings off our Christmas tree from the back, and then I used AK Interactive Snow. I've never used this snow before. It was an absolute nightmare. I'm not sure I used it correctly, but it looks a bit like snow, so it's fine. I was trying to find cotton pads, didn't have any. I did have a couple of filters for my mask my teddy bear's got over there. That kind of like helped bump it up a little bit. Once I painted it, stuck them to the cotton wool sheets, stuck that to the inside of the bauble, put the trees in, put them on top, and then had an absolute nightmare trying to get it shut, and got the whole thing covered in bits of goop from the AK Interactive stuff, so it looks a little bit grim. Ultimately, the impression is nice, and that is what we care about. Florenscentia.grotesque is one of my absolutely favourite artists, just full stop, hands down. I love her work. Just love it. And so I sent her some baubles. They didn't arrive because the post is absolutely wrecked in the UK at the moment, and sending stuff internationally is also a nightmare it's just a nightmare. But she came up with these incredible baubles using some of her own stuff, and they are super disturbing, really remind me of Berserk, which she hasn't seen. Blows my mind. It's just like, maybe just Berserk has, like, it's so visually horrifying that it has just infected everyone. I don't know, you don't even need to see it to be horrified by it. It is hauntingly grotesque, I think is the best description I can describe with this. It's the sort of thing that you think, if you put that on your tree, you're going to wake up on Christmas Day and you're going to be in a parallel dimension, everything is going to be on fire and you're going to be tortured forever, which is not necessarily what we want over the Christmas holidays. We all share the same hive mind, people have brilliant ideas at the same time. My friend Shawn at Oakhill Studios has created this beautiful Krampus grim bauble. I love the little bell underneath. It's like, what does the bell toll for? I don't know. It's going to be just completely disturbing. I can imagine just being in bed and in the middle of the night you hear the bell going and it's not Christmas yet. It's solstice. What's happening? Who's there? You hear some hooves. The hooves are in your house. Horrifying. Absolutely horrifying, and awesome work, mate. Yeah, imagine a Christmas tree of just these baubles. I think this is the plan for next year, is basically getting an entirely like grimdark Christmas tree. Have a collection of artists from all over the world making just like horrific stuff. I will talk to my partner about that. We will work out how to do it. I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be completely fine. Why not make your own Christmas bauble? Christmas bauble kits are not very expensive. They go a really long way. These are the ones that I got for when I first made this model for a kit bash challenge. I don't even know how long ago. I have now down to my last half piece, because the other half is this model. And I'd love to see what you come up with. So if you've got an idea for one, please share it, or let me know if you've made one, because I'd love to see your ideas for it as well. Or let me know if you've come across this somewhere else and someone else has had this the same idea. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more of this. I've got a couple of exciting things about Patreon. First up, we've got a private Discord server. It's up and running. There are people on it. There's human beings chatting. it's interesting and good. And yeah, I'm hoping to build that community. It's going to be really exciting. And the other thing is I'm going to do a Christmas giveaway for my patrons, which means anyone from now until the 1st of January who signs up will be entered into essentially a raffle, and the prize is the Adeptus Mechanicus Elimination Maniple, the Christmas Battle Force box. I've managed to get one. It's cool. It's like a kit bashing dream. To be honest, like, I'd love to keep it just to use all of the weird pipes and like tank tracks. You sign up and you get automatically entered to it. Links are below. I will randomly choose somebody on probably the 2nd of January and then ship it out to you. If you haven't seen it already, please check out my video about building this giant tower. I'm not sure I'm going to fit in anything before Christmas, but I've got some amazing plans for next year. First up is a summer exhibition piece, and I'm going to smash up a radiator, fill it full of expanding sealant foam, stick a load of stuff to it, and it's going to be super cool. So that will probably be my first video after Christmas. If you are in the UK and you're still after bits and you're still after kits for Christmas, I have an affiliate link with Cryptic Cabin, who are a friendly local gaming store. They're lovely guys. They're not super huge yet, so they quite often have kits that would have sold out in other places, so always worth going and checking that. Obviously, I do get some money from it, it's 5%. Be super cool. There is an affiliate link at the bottom of this page. If I don't see you before then, have a very lovely and wonderful Christmas, and I will see you all soon. And that's the end.